Hi there. Let's see if we've got folks here. Chat, that's what we want. Okay. So how come I decided to do this? You know, there's only so long that you can scroll, either doom scrolling or finding good news. In other words, the anti-doom scrolling. And so when that happens, the important thing for me is to get away from the idea that that's the most important thing that I need to do. So instead, what I decided was I was going to be here, hang out with you if you want me. Okay. Will I do reading? Yeah, if you really want. But I'm going to be doing that over on YouTube. So today I just thought I'd see who's here. And we would talk about whatever we talked about. So I'll be here for about 15 minutes. And if nobody shows up, I'll leave. If somebody shows up, then I'm good to go. So I've got my tea. There we go. I've got my tea. I try to limit myself to 1 cup of coffee in the morning. Otherwise, I do not sleep. And this is my old version with my old cat. Hey, who is CS? Hey, but you mean, hi, Kelly. How's the weather? Well, it's better than we thought. Okay, they were predicting starting at daybreak we were going to get ice. And you know what? There's nothing there. It's raining, but my husband just went out to pour the bone broth scraps out for the crows. And he said there's no crust on the snow. There's nothing. Now, we are going to get wind tonight, which can put the kibosh on the free reading hour, but it's less likely if we don't have ice on the trees. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Where are you guys based? Because I never get to see that on TikTok. On Facebook, you can sort of see sometimes where people are. But why don't you tell me where you all are, what state, stuff like that. I'm interested. So we have Chelsea, we have Kelly, and we have a third person, who is now, whether I'm the third person or what, I don't know. But yeah, tell me what's going on with you guys. That's part of the personality, if you will, of a hangout, is checking in, seeing how we're all doing. It's not just about readings. Remember, got one in Oklahoma, one in Texas, DFW. We need each other right now. I perfectly admit I am in Storm Trumper country. I think I'm the only Democrat within a mile and a half. So knowing that you all are out there, and whether you're Democrat or even an old line Republican who does not believe that Trump is God, I need to connect with you guys. It's how we're going to get through this. Because there's so much information. There's the doom scrolling stuff. And then there's the it's all going to be fine stuff. And then there's the fight stuff. And it's like you don't know what to believe. So that's why I have to step away from it. And that's why you guys are so good. So Chelsea is doing stuff on chakra healing today. Are you reading it to do it for yourself, Chelsea, or are you learning it to do for other people? Maybe I have other practitioners here, which would be an interesting thing to note. Because, I've said, I do hands-on healing and I have no freaking idea why or how. I was never taught. The universe did that to me a lot. A friend of mine who has since passed had bronchitis, weeks and weeks. Antibiotics weren't touching it. And I said one day, let me see what I can do. And I just put my hands on her, had no idea, but got this vision of what a stream is like in late spring, where you see the water running underneath and it's breaking up the ice on top. And she said, my hands felt really warm. Okay, fine. Within 36 hours, the bronchitis had decamped. Now, do I say I did this? No. But that was just one more thing that the universe said, oh, by the way, we have you on board for this. So there you are. Now, because I've never had training, I don't charge for it. And I don't make a big deal of it. But if I see someone in pain, I say sometimes I can remove the pain. Do you want me to try and help? So, all right. Chelsea says, doing the chakra healing internally for a long time. Look, we're going to need it. Okay. There are some people that are just going to paint us as RFK worm brain crazies. And there are some ways that it will be useful, because if we get to a point where we can't get medicine, either because they won't let us have it, or we can't afford it because the pharmaceutical companies have made it wildly expensive and insurance won't cover it anymore, we're going to need something. So anybody who's got a healing potential, yeah, we should not exploit it, but we should explore it. So Kelly says she's a news junkie, so she does get into it, but tries to take little breaks. What do you guys do to take the breaks? What do you guys do to pull yourself away? I am moving away from the computer right now. What do you do? Part of my problem is I go and cook, but it's only myself and my husband, and we're old, so we have to watch our calories and blah, 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 blah. And there's only so much room in the freezer and the fridge. So, I can't do that all the time. There are side effects with modern medicine, Chelsea, but the thing is, you do have to look at, do the good things about it outweigh the side effects? Now, when I went through my last bout of cancer and they put me on tamoxifen, one of the things about that is they say that you can get strokes. Not a good thing. But I remember what I did. Number one, I started with pycnogenol, which helps make the blood slippery and is good to prevent strokes. And every day when I would hold that pill before I took it, I would tell it what I wanted to do. I would thank the scientists who created it and gave me the chance to live a longer and healthier life, told the tamoxifen what it was to do, what it was not to do. And I basically didn't have side effects. Now, was that all me? I don't know. But, working with your mindset as well as surgery, et cetera, is going to make a difference in how your body processes a lot of stuff. So, Kelly, I have been a Trekkie since September of 1966. Okay. My nephew is Star Trek. There is Star Wars. I'm Trek, because Trek for me has always been hopeful, real, not, as my husband says, pew, pew, pew. So yeah, for me, Trek is wonderful. Frankly, what I'm doing right now is I'm watching DS9, because these days I really need to take some notes from Kira Nerys and the resistance to the Cardassians. So, and Nana Visitor is one of the warmest, kindest people in the world. I've never met her, but I did get a cameo from her when I was feeling very, very lost. And she just, in 4 minutes, nailed the problem and really uplifted me quite a bit. So Nana Visitor has a lot of Kira Nerys in her. She really does. So no TV or internet. You know, we don't watch TV anymore except to watch the weather. We watch All Creatures Great and Small, you know, BBC. We'll watch old Trek. My husband will watch mysteries and things like that, but that's not my gig. But you know, how much do you need to fill your eyeballs with? Because I'm on here with you guys every day. So for me, relaxing and just looking at another screen doesn't cut it. Have to find something else to do. It's been hard past couple of months because we have been below freezing, except for like 4 days since December. And, you know, and gray and cloudy. And that does not inspire you to go out walking. So it's like, come on, spring, 33 days, spring, let's go. That's my thing. So what I would like to know from you guys is if you've had experience with other intuitives, other psychics, what's it been like? How do they read? Are they useful? Because I don't get readings for myself, except from the 1 or 2 people that I trust. People like Stacey Wells, Katrina Rasbold. They're my go-tos. Pat Dumas, if I need astrology. So I don't know how other people are reading these days. And if any of you go to their free reading hours or anything like that, please, you know, just put it in the conversation. What is it like? Kelly, if you're down in Texas, yeah, you have to stay in during the summer because the weather is awful. Believe it or not, I do the same thing. The months that I can go outside comfortably are basically March, April, and a little bit of May, October, and some of November. Why? Because at 70 and on a blood pressure medication, I'm very, very heat sensitive. And my internal thermometer is wonky. So for me, heat doesn't work. Weather like this, can't take a chance on slipping on the ice. I have old bones. So the world has gotten nuts, and this is just an effect of climate change. Okay, Chelsea said, I had one in 2017, but I don't think I was open to receive. How did you find this person, Chelsea? What did they tell you? What did you go to them for? Because when you say you're not open to receive, that could either be you, or it could be the psychic wasn't on your wavelength. I mean, somebody could be a really good intuitive, but if they come at me with the glurpy purple angel stuff, like, hi, I'm so glad to see you, love and light. Let's see what you, oh, please, I'm going to vomit. I just don't tolerate that. I want someone who is as straight arrow and normal as me. So was it that the information was off, Chelsea, or just you didn't vibe with them? Could be either one. So hi, 4. All right. So we've got 2 people that are lurking. 5. Good. If you've come on in, just introduce yourself if you would, so we all know who's here, and let me know where you're from, simply so that we can have a better conversation. So I'm just glad that people are showing up, frankly. Anyway, local Facebook page, my dad had recently passed, and everything she said didn't really resonate with me. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. If it didn't resonate, it's like if somebody said that my father was shy and retiring and didn't talk much. No, I'm sorry, it doesn't resonate. Dad was a brilliant intellectual and punned out the window. I mean, we got, and always wanted to tell you what to do. We got him a sweatshirt when we were in New York City on Broadway that said, what I really want to do is direct. Now, When someone got my father and my stepmother for me shortly after my stepmother died in 2009, what did they say? Shirley had died in the house of a fast heart attack. And she said that Dad had immediately been there for her. And the medium said, Dad said, well, her heart just couldn't take how handsome I was. And then they said, Shirley giggled. Now that was my father and my stepmother. So that intuitive, that medium, right on. Okay. So don't worry if they say you weren't open to receive the message. It could be they're just wrong and couldn't admit it. Hi, Lori. Do you know Phil Jordan? I had a mediumship with a reading once. It was strange. I have heard about him, Lori, but I don't know anything about him. Tell us why it was strange. And Kelly, if you want to tell us about your wonderful person, I'd love to know, because if someone asked me, I need someone in DFW, do you know anyone? You know, I would love to get a good recommendation from someone that they have read. So, is there a way to share a screen with this? Share screen. Yes, there is. Okay. Because I want to see if I can pull something up for you guys. And if I can, that will show you what I mean about my father and Shirley. My mother died in 1984, so Dad was a widower. And Shirley was absolutely nothing like my mother at all. But that was in all the good ways. My mother was someone who couldn't leave the house without perfect makeup, perfect hair, etc., etc., etc. Shirley, she would wear a little bit of eye makeup, mascara, and that was it. And she was as unpretentious and absolutely real as you could possibly get. And she was just the best. So, all right, let me get back here to Chrome. Where are we? Her name is Valentina Burton. She's vivacious and very giving. All right, I'm going to write that name down, and I'm going to see if I can find her, because then she's one more on my roster. Unless I know that someone has had a good session with an intuitive, I just don't recommend them, because I want to keep you guys safe. And God forbid if I send you to somebody that is a real idiot. So, still looking for Dad and Shirley. It's amazing how many pictures I actually have on this thing. Well, first thing I'm going to show you, let me see. Share screen. Okay. Won't let me show it if I don't use Chrome. But if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see there's Dad and there's Shirley all the time. The readings are an hour long, but she'll stay with you as long as you need. That's interesting. Kelly, do you come with a set of questions, or you just sit and she blurts out? Because for me, unless we're doing some real deep dish spiritual counseling, you know, looking at situations and seeing how you react, and doing some of the psychological counseling, which as a reverend I do, an hour isn't really needed unless I'm doing a soul plan reading or you have 12,000 questions. Now, whether that's because I home in specifically on what you need to know, or I'm just fast, I don't know. But this is all a set of questions. Okay. It's all fascinating to me. I've always tried to bring it into the smallest amount of time, because, I'm not cheap and I know it. But when you've been reading for half a century, all my experience, all of my certifications, yes, I'm not going to charge what somebody who just started 5 years ago charged. But that is why I tell people don't buy more time than you need. I downsell rather than upsell, because that's one way that people know I'm being genuine with them. I mean, you all know places like California Psychics, they only pay them $1 a minute. So they're trained to keep you on the phone, no matter what you're paying. I don't know what you're paying, but the psychics only get paid $1 a minute. And so the longer they keep you on the phone, the more money they are going to make. Me, it's a set price, and let's see how much we can pack it. But that's also one of the reasons that I do the free reading hours, because some people just don't need that much. They've got the one question. And if I can answer it fast, I will. All right, we do have 2 people. We've got Kelly and CS, Chelsea and Lori. And maybe there's somebody else who is just sitting. Do I look like I'm going to bite? Come on, tell us who you are. This is how we get, this is tribe. This is a little bit like I do with my Patreon group. It's very small. There are only about 15 people. But once a month, we get together. Hey, Christine, how's the storm? It was a real nothing again. Maybe we had 3 inches of snow. And there is no ice right now whatsoever, even though they said we were supposed to start having ice about daybreak. So this part of the storm is, but they are saying we're going to have some hefty winds tonight, and they might be power outages, but it's not going to be as bad as it would be if everything was encased in ice. We're managing. Christine, where are you from? Okay, we're kind of finding where everybody is. Lori IP is, I know, local to me here in New York. We've got somebody from Oklahoma. We've got somebody from Texas. Christine, where are you? Toronto. So, are you one of my Canadians? A lot of my Canadian friends have reached out to me, and I am so grateful. Because, yes, whatever is in government right now is monstrous to Canadians. But, from about 2002 to 2020, I went up to Canada a dozen times a year to do shows. And I loved you guys. I always stayed at the same little B&B in Kitchener, Claude House. Margaret and Derek, who ran it, they became my Canadian family. They really did. I would, walk in every time I had a show in Kitchener, and the door was always open, and I would always yell, "Hello, the house." They're from Ireland. And it was great. It was like coming to see, Heart Tribe. And I used to talk with my buddy, Steph, who was my front person for a long time. And we would speculate, if things went south in America, what would I have to do, blah, blah, blah. And everything is exactly the way we saw it happening 15 years ago. But I can't escape over the border. I've got a husband. I've got cats. I've got family. But she reached out and told me, we all know it isn't you. Canadians don't hate all Americans. It's the government. And that helped. Massive, 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 massive. So, had a reading with Angel Morgan, pet and human psychic. She is based in Canada. Canada? I used to say Canada. Based in Canada and is awesome. Lori, is she in Ontario? What province is Angel in? Because again, I'm going to write these down for people who ask me, do you know anybody in? One of the biggest things that frustrates me, I get a lot of people who speak only Spanish who want a soul plan reading with me, and I can't do it because I don't speak Spanish. And those readings are so full of nuance. But then they say, do you know anybody who does what you do and speak Spanish, and I don't. So I'm starting to collect these other people. And if, Angel is Quebecois, speaks French, that's a possibility. So, anyway. Lori, Christine, Kelly, all right, Kelly, and CS. Okay. Are you guys planning to show up over on TikTok tonight? Give me a yes or a no. Thank you, Christine. That makes me feel good. She said, we hate our government right now, too. We love our American friends. That's so important because we don't know what to do with the MAGA types. We don't know that we're ever going to be able to see eye to eye with them at all on anything. So all we can do is push our side of the narrative as much as possible. So, okay. Something that I'm going to do tonight, and Chris, my good buddy, the Blue Rose Mystic, he's going to be watching, is he's going to pick out one person tonight, whatever his criteria is, I'm not sure. And that one person is going to get a free half-hour reading with me because we wanted to do that. We just wanted to do that. So we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, so CS, yes, Kelly, yes. Christine, Lori, I saw your TikTok story. I will try to catch. Yeah, TikTok Live is very, very different. Notice how it's just like for y'all and me, and we're hanging out. TikTok Live is, if I can use a New York phrase, absolutely bug fuck. There are always at least 100 to 150 people watching at any given time. And the questions are coming in so thick and fast. We've literally seen 1,700 comments in an hour. Now, some of those comments are just chat in between y'all, not always the questions directed at me. But that is like tilt. So it's one of the reasons I do the Hangouts over here on YouTube, because it's so much calmer. It's so much, I'll say, more controlled in that I know who's here. And it's what I need. It's why I talk about the Cafe Corby. My blood pressure does go up, not out of stress, but the way you would grab hold of the steering wheel tight when you're going around tight turns, when I do readings that fast. Here, it's literally, I can relax. What do I cover in my soul plane reading? Well, Lori, the whole point of a soul plane reading is you have to have read Robert Schwartz's books, Your Soul's Plane, Your Soul's Gift, or Your Soul's Love. And the reason I say that is because the soul plan work I do is based on the work I did for Rob in those books. And you need to understand how he views karma and pre-birth planning, or you're walking into a French class and you've never heard French spoken in your life. You're not going to get it. Generally, you will give me a life challenge. Why did I choose to have kids with handicaps? Why did my fiance die a month after he proposed to me? Why was I born in poverty? Why do I have addictions? Why did I get cancer? And major life questions like that. Why do I always feel abandoned? Why can I not find a relationship that doesn't hurt me? If you go and you look at the tables of contents in those books, you'll get examples of those questions. You then give me homework, which is basically telling me about your life with this situation. I read it. I return it to you with any clarification questions I need. And then the day of your reading, I'm at my desk at 6:30 in the morning, and I spend the day in deep trance meditation, talking to your higher self, looking at your numerology reports, and pulling down any past lives that your higher self gives me that have to do with the situation. And then I'm on the phone with you for an hour that night discussing what I found. That is why that reading is $650. And I tell people it's a luxury. You don't absolutely need it. But it is done at 20% of my normal hourly rate so that people can afford it. Because there are some cases where it is absolutely vitally important. So that's why, yeah, Lori, why did you pick your mother? A question like that, you would then, you do your session, you'd book it, and you would send me homework about the relationship with your mother, when it was a problem, did it ever get better, etc. It's like a doctor taking a history. That gives me, and also I would get your mother's full name on her birth certificate, married name, and birth date, so I could do the numerology comparison with the two of you. Okay, that's why it's tons and tons and tons of work. And I only do like 1 or 2 a month, because the next day, baby, I am a crispy critter. If you're going to look into it, the book I recommend, and I'm going to put it in the message thing, is Rob's first one, because I am the only person who's ever been in Rob's books from both sides of the fence. Yes, I'm one of his channels, but in that first book, there is a physical illness chapter, John with AIDS and Doris with cancer. Doris is actually me. We changed the name, but that's my story. That's why I know how to do this. Lori, it's very much working with the Akashic. It's basically, I go and I look at your Akashic records, yes. But I do it with specific purpose, not just let's see what we find. So, Christine, YouTube lives boost up your 1,000 hours for monetization too. I did not know that. I know monetization is going to happen eventually. But right now, it's getting my name out there and finding new clients that way. It's interesting. I always get about 6 or 8 people who ask about, do I do private readings after lives? And I send them all the information, and maybe 1 or 2 will do it. I guess because they're expecting me to do $50 an hour. And it's like, no, my darlings, it's not that way. Christine M. Oops. Okay. But the thing I remind people, psychics are a luxury. You don't need us. And I'm honest enough to know that. Sometimes we are very, very helpful. But, if it's us or groceries, go buy the groceries. I used to do Mary Kay Cosmetics in the 1980s. And while I didn't have a pink Cadillac, I did win a fur coat and some diamonds. I quit because they were starting to say, tell a woman if she's looking at something for her kids or a lipstick, buy the lipstick because she'll feel better about herself and be a better mother. Oh, no, that, And I just said, I cannot conscience, in good conscience, start spreading that kind of thing. And so I left, and I never looked back. So Kelly says, all right, so first, Lori says, can we change some of our soul tribe for the next life? Of course. Of course, your soul can choose to work with anybody you want to. You say it's a luxury. Have you seen that it changes people's lives? Yes. But I don't change everybody's. So for some people, it's absolutely a necessity. I break open a situation that has been tormenting them for 36 years. I've got somebody who actually says that on my testimonials on my website. But that isn't always the case. Sometimes it's just, does Bruce love me? Sometimes it's, okay, what do I do about this? What do I do about that? And you might be able to figure it out yourself. But we're useful. That's why I say we're a luxury. A doctor is a necessity. If you're sick, you need a doctor. If your life is confused, you may not need a psychic. That's what I mean. I'm afraid to get into my Akashics. I've been learning astrology slowly. I love astrology, but my brain is not left brain enough to really handle it, which is why I go to my buddy Pat Dumas. But don't be afraid to go into your Akashics. Christine, it isn't you. See, that's why when someone who's a Bible thumper says to me, well, the Bible says we only live once, I go, and you're absolutely right. Because this recipe, Christine, Lori, Kelly, Corby, we are one and done, guys. This particular flavor of me will never be down here again. We are parts that our soul plays. Now I'm going to use the actor Matt Smith as an example, okay? Matt was the 11th Doctor on Doctor Who. He was my doctor. But when he hung up the bow tie and the fez, he was Prince Philip on the first 2 seasons of The Crown. And when he hung up his naval uniform, now he's this whack job on House of the Dragon. The Doctor, the Prince, and the whack job are all like different incarnations. They're totally different from each other. They don't know each other. They have no contact. But they're all brought to life by the actor, Matt Smith. So the Doctor, the Prince, and the whack job are like your incarnations. Matt's like the soul. See? So don't be afraid to get into your Akashics. All of us have been saints and sinners, murderers and victims, rich and poor, good and bad. It is how our soul learns. And it doesn't mean we are necessarily good or bad based on what we did before. Let's see. The RK was amazing in the 90s. I had just gotten so sick of changing my makeup 4 times a day. I've never worn makeup since, unless I have to. Wedding, headshots. Thought we were stuck with the same soul group every life. Nope. No. But there are some people we always like coming around with. For instance, my father was my best friend. So in most lives, he and I are same generation. We are literally best friends. But this time, my soul knew that it would need a best friend for a father based on all the work that it wanted to do. And the soul that it was my father this time, but is normally my best friend, said, yes, I will play the father role for you. By the way, this is Dad. That's Dad and me in 1985. You can tell from the big hair. That was at my stepbrother's wedding. And it was outdoors, very hippy dippy kind of thing. And the pastor was going on and on and on and on and on and on. Very boring. And Dad just leaned over and whispered a double-barreled pun in my ear. And so we were laughing into each other's shoulders because we knew that we couldn't just break up the wedding ceremony. That was me and Dad. So that gives you a real feel. So, all right, what else we got? I can hang out for a little longer. Hey, Dad. Yeah. He's the one who sometimes comes in if I've got medical intuitives, which I do rarely, and someone has cardiac, because Dad was a cardiologist. So now this is interesting. What comes in that tells me it's Dad? He still puns. Very compassionate, real medical incisive understanding, and explains well. But what did my father have in his personality that is totally dissolved now, nowhere to be seen? He had anxiety, depression, and hypochondria. Those were qualities that the soul allowed into the ego, into the personality, so that it could learn. But once we pass over, the only things that the soul retains are the positive things about us. So, but I know when he's here. I absolutely know when he's here. What other questions? These are fun. I love doing this. And we got 6 people now, so I know there are a couple that are just lurking. It's fine. Waiting to hear what you have to say. Boom. Who is the medical intuitive? That's my buddy Stacy Wells. Now, I should be able to find her somewhere on here. So hang on 1 second. And I want to see if the share works this way. It should. Here we go. This is my buddy Stacy Wells. Okay. She is my BFF ride or die. See, we all work together in Rob's books. But she is a brilliant medical intuitive. And if you have something that is seriously something that you have to deal with medically, I would say go to her. She can literally look into the DNA of your body. She has seen brain tumors people have missed. She saw my cancer, my third bout of breast cancer before the doctors did. Really good. I'm going to put her website there. You go. It's right in the chat. Now, if you see her, one of the things I'm going to recommend is that you tell her you learned about her from me, because not that I get a kickback, but if she knows you're one of my peeps, and let's say that you have an appointment 6 weeks out, but she gets a cancellation Thursday, it's my people that she calls first to say, would you like to move up your appointment? So take advantage. Is it true? Yes. Yes. Lori, let's say, you're a guy, you have 5. You die of a fever at 4, car accident at 18, a mugging at 35, falling out a window at 60, or prostate cancer at 82. As these things come forward, the soul decides, are we done or not? Did we get everything learned? Okay. Perfect example with me. 2002, I was driving in a very rural area in Greene County, New York, and black ice under snow. I overcorrected my car, little Alero. I took down a tree, a telephone pole, flipped the car. There were electrical wires all over it, and I wasn't wearing a seatbelt. At no time did I feel like I was going to die. I thought it was more like an e-ticket for Disney. When I managed to get out of the car and looked, every place was crushed except the little driver's cockpit. Obviously, if my soul had decided, well, we're good to go now, I would have died. There is no other reason that my guardian angels and my spirit guides, I think it was my buddy Carl Emil Schaefer, saved my life. I walked out of there with just a couple of bruises here. That's it. So yeah, the soul looks as we come up to these potentials and says, done, not done. Do you think the veil, wait a minute, let's see. Thoughts on this reality being a dream? Don't want to even go there for my own sake, or I'm not going to sleep tonight. Do you think the veil has been a little thin these days? I think that upstairs is watching us go through this crap and wanting to reach out to us to give what comfort it can. So, kind of, yeah. Chelsea, what I will say about this reality being a dream, it's a play. It's a play. And the old idea of if you have people that are chained and facing a cave wall and all they see are the shadows moving on the wall from the fire, they think that's life. If they unchain, turn around, they see there's so much more to life. So they weren't dreaming the shadows, but the shadows aren't life per se. That's about as close as I think I would go. So, all right. So, 7, good. What else we got for questions, my kids? Do you think it's worth it to stick around or move away? You mean with what's going on with America? Or what, Kelly? If my voice wouldn't give out, I could probably answer them, Lori. Kelly, I'm going to assume you mean get out of America. If I were younger, I might. I have friends in Canada who wanted me to escape up there. But this particular soul tends to hang out around endings. In the 15th century, I was a knight. No, you couldn't find me anywhere. But on the side of the Yorkists in the Wars of the Roses, you had York versus Lancaster. York lost. I died on the field. I was a Native American warrior leader. Yes, I know who I was. You don't need to. I'm not going to claim. That tried to work everything I could with the whites, but they were forcing my people on the reservation. I couldn't stop it. We lost there. World War I was a German pilot. Germany lost. I was killed, shot down over Belgium, 1917. This time, I'm not a warrior and I'm not a male, but I've come in at the end of America. Because even if we save it, America is not going to be the same. We will never be trusted again. We will never have the moral high ground again. We have to reinvent ourselves and prove to people that we're not so schizophrenic that our entire personality changes every 4 years with a president. So I'm meant to be here, help people here. That's why I'm 70. Most countries don't want you when you're as old as I am. I am by no means wealthy. No means. You know, like AOC says, she's the person who has the least amount of money in Congress. Well, I'm not, a hand-to-mouth psychic, but we live close. We have a tiny house. We're very frugal. We never take vacations. Our cars are 10 years old. It's one of the reasons why I do this work, because I'll be able to work until I'm on my deathbed. But I am meant to stay here in America and give hope, heal where I can, comfort where I can. It's why I'm a reverend. So if I was younger, yeah, probably I would have wanted to leave. But that's not what my soul wants from me this time. This time I have work to do here. All right, Chelsea, see you then. Lori, I know what that's like. I'm 80-20 male, female. Most of my lives are guys. I do all of my tough stuff as female. But it's why I kid and say I'm a guy in a girl suit. It doesn't mean I want to be trans, but it means my bullshit meter is set at featherweight. When my husband and I both need to hit the restroom at restaurants, we both come out at the same time because I'm not fluffing and buffing. You're seeing me in a t-shirt, no makeup. I don't have time for that anymore. That's where it was. So, all right. Does anyone else have any last questions before I get out of here and rest my voice for tonight? Okay. So, I hope to see you all over on TikTok tonight. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me today. It was lovely. It was really lovely. And we'll do this again soon. Okay? Stay warm, guys.